Hello and welcome back to Mellohi, a Dream SMP podcast. This is episode 46 and today we'll be discussing CPK and Ainsley, the egg, Captain Puffy's character and how people critique the Dream SMP story. As always, we refer to the characters by name and specify when we're talking about the writers. We try to focus on analysis.
Hello, everyone!
Welcome back.
It's us! Sai isn't here, probably, I think, the first time ever. And I don't know how to do intros. So,
You're
Hi.
valid. I don't know. I don't know how that shit works either.
Well, welcome back to Mellohi. We talk about the Dream SMP here, and some stuff happened recently on the Dream SMP, so we have things to talk about. Yay.
Primarily CPK. Primarily CPK.
Primarily CPK. Yeah.
Him and Ponk have just been streaming practically every single day. Like, anytime CPK's on, Ponk comes on with them. Anytime Ponk's on, CPK drops a lore video watch stuff to join him.
More punk content.
Yeah.
Always good.
Well, I think when CPK joined, like, the first thing that him and Ponk talked about was the fact is like, oh, CPK was like, I'm on now, I can stream with Ponk. So I think they were like both really excited to be able to stream together.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it kind of makes sense to me that like they are constantly doing things together. And honestly, I'm here for it. I like those two. Ponk's a little chaos gremlin. CPK's not an enabler, but he doesn't stop Ponk.
Dude, CPK is like, I don't want to break the rules, guys. I want to break all the rules, guys.
Yeah, like he's like, I don't want to get involved in chaos or drama, and then
He
like
says,
the first day
stealing.
he's involved in lore. He kills Sam with Ponk. You know, just fun things. Just girl boss things. It's fine. It's all good.
He's like, I'm not gonna replant these trees, and then replants them.
He wants to be chaotic, but then at the same time he's like, no, I'm not. I am a perfectly normal, reasonable person. And it's like, oh, okay, are you sure? Are you sure you want to be that? And he's like, yeah, no, he's indecisive, but at the same time, it's kind of working very well for him. So I'm like, not gonna complain.
He's
I'm enjoying it.
I'm not gonna go down to the egg room without Bad, he says, going down into the egg room without Bad.
Speaking of the egg room, without Bad, CPK is, been our strongest, creator in terms of egg lore recently.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's gone down there like 3 times at least. Like, he's had like at least 3 things just going down into the egg room, and honestly, they're kind of terrifying, man. They're really good.
Share lore.
Yeah, they're like really, man. Oh man. What can I say about that stuff?
CPK just does it really well. Like, okay, guys, you don't understand. He left his chair, and the chair was making him move all the way back down. Dude, that was so smooth. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna leave to show you guys Twitter photos, and then he leaves, and it just cuts to like, I think it was a pre-recording or something.
I think it definitely was, cause I was watching it alongside, Lou, who, if no one knows, is the, runner, former admin for the Dream SMP transcripts account, and we're buddies, and we had been watching his lore watch parties, cause, one of the things that CPK's been doing is getting caught back up on lore, which, good move on his part. He's, it was definitely actually really fun, but so it was at the end, it was after that, I had started like tuning out of the stream, basically. Like, I had it still up, but I wasn't paying attention, and then I get a DM on Twitch from Lou being like, what is he doing? And I was like, wait, what? I come back on. He's not there, right? He walked away to go to the bathroom and check in on his girlfriend as she had gotten home and brought him a treat, which was cute. Honestly, I saw the Twitter picture. It was adorable. And he comes back, or no, he doesn't come back. As he's gone, his character on the Dream SMP is slowly moving.
That's terrifying.
There's no one there controlling it. And it's slowly moving.
Mm-hmm.
And as we watch it, it goes over to the egg room. And so a lot of the chat were yelling, like, chair lore, because, you know, that thing where, like, streamers leave and all you see is
Chair lore, yeah.
their chair. So the chair is the streamer.
Yeah.
And they were like, evil chair is evil, blah, 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 blah. But, so we just had, like, a blank thing. Like, he purposefully left the camera up so that it was just a blank chair and set it so that the pre-recording ran behind it. And then it ran through this whole sequence of CPK going down into the egg room, like, breaking the obsidian barrier that somebody put up, going down into the egg room, walking around. He does this thing where he stops at the banquet table and sits in one of the reserved chairs for a while. And this other thing that he does where he, like, has his character, like, head throw back and go and, like, look up at the sky, which is interesting. I don't know what to make of it. I'm trying to figure, a lot of people have said, like, maybe it's his character trying to, like, fight whatever's happening, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
It might just be he's hearing something and he's trying to figure out where it's coming from.
That was what I kind of thought, because usually we don't really get a lot of sound during these clips, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But, I'm getting distracted. But so he is gone from the room, CPK is, and then as we're watching, his character is just like, you know, going through it, man. He's just going into the egg room, he's looking around, he runs up to the egg,
He touches
very
it.
awkwardly. He touches it, and then he, like, freaks out and runs out of the building, like, out of the egg room. Like, completely, like, he runs out of the egg room. I think he runs out of the, like, XP farm entirely, and then he runs all the way back to his house, I think. And then, as the recording hits a certain point, CPK comes back, and sits down and just acts like nothing happened. And the only reason you can tell it's pre-recorded is because the sync up for the end part of the recording and where he left off in the game isn't quite exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it was really smooth, and then he acts like nothing happens. And he's like, chat, did you see the treats I posted on Twitter? And we were all like, yeah, huh? Nothing happened, streamer. Everything was totally normal. Yep. As he is, like, talking to us about his, fox lollipop. And we're like, yeah, man, totally normal. Everything is great. And then everyone's, like, freaking out together. And it's, like, I don't know. It was just so... I think when he said he joined, like, he like, talked about how cool he finds the replay mod. And it's just like, bruh, for good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason. Because that stuff is epic. Like, I don't know how to... Oh, my God. It's just so good. Yeah. Okay.
It was just, it reminds me of when he got the call from Dream about joining the SMP, only instead of face planting immediately afterwards, he successfully posed on them. Nothing happened. Attitude.
Yeah. I don't know. CPK is just,
I love him.
CPK here. We love CPK.
We love CPK. CPK has done nothing wrong ever.
Yeah, no, that is factually correct, probably. I don't know. We say characters do nothing wrong a lot of the time, and usually they have, but you know.
But actually he really hasn't done anything wrong. He's replanted his trees. He's edged on someone, a pacifist, to try and murder someone else, or start a war. nothing wrong.
He's done nothing.
He definitely didn't help Punk kill Sam.
He didn't.
And
He
has
was
been
the one
so
who hit it.
polite and kind in investigating who did that.
Yes, exactly. He's helping out Sam.
Yeah. It's totally... Yeah. It's great. Oh god. Yeah. So, but anyways, CPK's 1000%, or character CPK, I guess, is like 1000%, like, mildly possessed by the egg, or something.
No, actually, like, when he meets up with Punk, Punk asks him, what's up with your skin? Did you dye your fur? And then he takes off his helmet, and we just see red eyes and dark fur, and I'm like, bruh.
Oh.
This is happening again. Neat.
No, he literally, he's like, yeah, so I've got these new, CPK's like, yeah, I've got these new DSMP skins that, this really cool person made me, that I don't remember the name of.
I don't know the name. But they are really cool, and he's got a lot of them. I think he's got, like, a Dimension Hopper one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat.
But also, like, he's talking about it, and then he's like, he takes off his armor to show off his egg-possessed skin, and goes like, yeah, this is the skin I'm using normally on the DSMP from now on.
Which is just like, huh? Is that because you're possessed by the egg, or do you just want to look like that? I can't genuinely tell.
He has a different skin, though. He has a different skin that I think is his actual common DSMP skin. Where he has
so?
Yeah, it's the same normal fur head, and then normal eyes, and then the color is a bit, it's like the egg skin, but it's inverted.
Interesting.
It's not quite as dark or red. It is still red, though, which is funny.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, but no, that when he dropped that line though of like, oh, this is just my normal skin now on the SMP, I was like, is it though? Is it, CPK? Are you?
He's still acting like nothing happened.
Yeah, and I think he acts like that the entire like rest of the stream, but it was like he's really making really good use of that replay mod, and it's awesome. I don't know. It's
we all love CPK here.
We all love CPK here. If you don't love CPK, then
why are you watching? Why are you listening?
If you're not a CPK fan, then get out of here. No, you're fine. You.
We'll make you a CPK fan, or else.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think. Is that all that's happened like in the last week?
Not exactly. So CPK and Punk end up meeting Amesy for the first time, and Amesy sort of they both have this conversation of what's happened to them in the first 3-4 weeks they've been here, and CPK is just like, yeah, so I'm in trouble with like two very powerful, dangerous people, and then somehow I managed to get out of trouble with that very dangerous, powerful person. No, actually, they were accusing Amesy of stealing Stardog. J-Star?
Yeah!
I don't remember this fish
I think Stardog is the one that BBH had and is dead?
We don't know what happened to it. It's
yeah,
MIA.
it's I think if I'm remembering correctly, BBH and CPK have talked about it, and or not BBH and CPK. Punk and CPK have been talking about it, and I think they said that BBH ate it.
They think BBH ate it.
Which is,
Your average stream SMP.
I mean, BBH is having nightmares about, like...
valid.
Doesn't he have nightmares about, like, eating his whole family or something like that? Or is that, like...
No, he has nightmares about his whole family dying and being force-fed their pieces.
Okay. So, I mean... You know.
That's also terrifyingly terrible.
Dream XD, what you gonna do?
They're just connecting dots, like, he'd eat a fish.
Dream XD's just a funky little guy, though.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at Dream XD for that. He's just a funky little dude.
He's just a little...
doing funky little...
He's just in a silly, goofy mood all the time.
Yeah. All the time.
all the time.
Absolutely. I was trying to think if there was anything else that happened though.
Yeah, they I don't not aside because there's just been a lot of lore watching, so there's been a little less less time to play on the SMP.
Oh wait, no, I know something. Puffy and Boomer burnt down Pong's lemon
Oh,
tree.
yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that. Tina was on, and then Puffy and Boomer were just like, I'm a burned down. H-Bomb was there too. They just burnt down
Yes.
Punk's tree. And then literally CPK was like, what happened to your tree?
Which, you know, I don't blame him because that's a massive change compared to what it looked like before.
And then, and like, they blame Bad Boy Halo for it.
That keeps getting blamed for, like, everything.
It went from blame Dream to blame Bad Boy Halo.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, you know, BBH is a little bit of a prankster, so I guess you might be able to get away with doing that. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, yeah. But Tina was streaming. That reminds me though, we did get kind of some Tina lore, which I thought was actually, I really liked. Tina was on, and they were with Boomer and the others when they were burning the tree down. And it resulted in this very interesting, like, inner monologue type thing. I think technically she was, like, writing in her diary, but I really like the way she does it, which is that she mutes herself from the call, and then she just talks, but she puts, like, an echo effect on her voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like she's talking
To herself.
like, yeah, inward, like, in her head voice.
Thought.
And, like, yeah, thought talking. And I was like, I don't know why, like, I guess I hadn't, like, watched one of her streams where she was, like, in sort of lore mode, at least. And, like, so it was really, really interesting to sort of, like, hear her do that, and I loved it. Like, I wish more characters would do that when they were, like, in a group sort of like a group setting, but want to, like, talk to themselves, sort of.
Yeah.
Because it gives, like more of an immersion where, like, it sounds like they're talking directly to chat in a way, but at the same time, like, it's not as disruptive or, like, anything.
Abruptly. Because it's interesting because you get to hear what's happening in the background. Like, these thoughts are happening in real time.
Yeah! And that's the other thing, like, we don't often, like, we kind of get, like, direct insight into characters', like, minds and, like, the way they think and stuff with the VODs. Like, if you watch their POV, like, you get sort of, like, an idea of, like, their, you know, thought process and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't happen, you know, that, like, it doesn't, if they're in a group setting, then you're basically going to just have to go off of, like, what they're saying to the other people. And with the way that Tina does it, like, you can get both. And I love it. I don't know, like, I don't have any, like, super intellectual thoughts about it. I just really, really like it. I think it's really cool that the way she does that, and I don't know, I'm super down for any other characters who might want to do that, you know? I like it a lot. I do. I really do.
I didn't get to watch all of her stream because it happened. I'm so tired of the streams happening when I don't have time to watch them. It sucks because CPK just happens to stream at like 5 a.m. for me, and I'm like, I'm not getting up that early. And it's so sad.
Well, he streams early for anyone in the American time zone.
Yeah. But
it's probably a good time zone for literally everybody else, which, you know, good for you guys. You need more people who stream at reasonable times.
No, they're literally like, we're holding down the UK time zone, Punk.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he's the only one who streams, like, what, probably, I don't know
Afternoon.
Exactly what it is
it's
in
like
the UK, but
1 to 2 p.m.
Yeah, early afternoon compared to, like, all the other UK streamers who probably stream at, like,
5 a.m. in the
like
morning.
10 o'clock at night for them. It also probably works really nicely, at least in comparison, for, like, the Asian audience, because they're a few hours ahead too, but so it's probably, like, early night time for them, which, you know, that's not a horrible time to watch a stream.
Yeah.
In comparison to, like, when you're in school or in the sleep
but
in the middle
like,
of your morning.
I didn't get to... I know Tina's, like, North America, but she's also been streaming late night stuff. Anyways, I didn't get to see it happening, but I've heard secondhand from Tumblr that they were asked... She was arguing with them about why they shouldn't be burning Punk's tree down, and then they're asked, Boomer and Puff are like, why not? Punk's not gonna care about it. He builds these for them to burn down. And that's why you shouldn't burn them down, because if you want to hurt someone, you have to destroy what they love, not what they don't care about.
That's true. I did think it was weird because I think Puffy's whole ideology about it was like the reason they chose Punk's tree was like it'll upset Foolish because Foolish built it, and then it'll get Punk upset because it's Punk's tree, and it'll get both of them to come on. But she really, like, if she was trying to, like, increase the audience on the SMP, she picked, like, the worst two people, because Foolish and Punk are, like, the most active members.
Yeah.
I think other than, like, probably, like, Bad, I think is probably, like, the third most active, honestly.
Right now,
or Sam, but Sam
competing.
doesn't stream it, but yeah, CPK is pretty active all the time now. But, like, it's just, like, why are those your choices? there was much better choices in terms of, like, people to target if you're trying to get more people to come onto the SMP. But I thought...
well, the thing is, who's gonna retaliate, right? Who's gonna see it and retaliate? And their options are limited to everybody who already streams and Tommy. And if you target Tommy, the fandom's gonna fucking hate you and kill you on Twitter.
Oh man.
You're not wrong there.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Twitter's a nightmare.
So who else are they gonna target?
I mean, BBH, but... I mean, to be fair, targeting...
You don't want BBH's wrath on you.
You don't want to fight BBH, to be clear. Yeah, BBH will destroy you with everything. BBH has too much time and energy to put into ruining your life for you to really want to fight BBH.
You don't want to fight him.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm trying to think. Who else could you target? I mean, I want to say, like, well, I know now. Okay, well, here's the other bit of lore, I guess. AIMSy is trying to make a cafe, I think it's a cafe?
AIMSbucks.
It's a Starbucks, but AIMSy.
Yeah.
Which I think Puffy has decided is a personal slight against her character, and her own brand of franchised restaurants, McPuffy's. And I think that's turning into a fight, but I honestly haven't watched AIMSy lore.
No,
so I don't know if it's actually a lore, like, fight starting.
What's happened here is that AIMSy sees the whole thing afterwards, where, with Punk and CPK. And Punk and CPK are like, you guys should totally fight. You should go and ruin her restaurant. You should guys have a war. And then AIMSy is like, no, I'm gonna talk to her like a reasonable, responsible adult. Which I find hilarious.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's,
I'm gonna talk
fat
to her.
Chance. To be honest, I don't see that working.
It's not gonna work. I'm sorry, but Captain Puffy is not someone you can talk to. Like, you can't talk her down for anything, right?
I
So
think
just
that's the
twist your
funny...
words.
Puffy's character is, how do I explain Puffy's character in a polite manner?
Oh, man.
How do you explain it in a polite manner? Oh god.
Listen, okay, Puffy's character, I think... oh god. I think Puffy's character, suffers from a...
Basically, the fandom wrote her character, and her character suffered for it.
Yeah, it's... I think Puffy Puffy was a really, really, really interesting character, and I think I'm trying to word this really carefully.
Okay, so
I think
you guys, I want to say it in the most blunt way possible, because you're struggling to phrase it in a polite way. So, bluntly speaking, Puffy's character caters to her audience, and her audience ruined her character by doing that, because the whole duckling thing was something the audience came up with. The whole, oh, Tommy Dream's a bad guy and doesn't need to leave, and Tommy, oh, poor Tommy, or like Mama Papa Puffy, Mama Puffy, that all came from her audience, the fandom, which is probably primarily made out of Tommy fans, because that's what happens.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it was really, like, I think that she started off as, like, a really strong character, and I thought she had, like, a lot of interesting ideas. I would still love to see, like, more of, like, her origin story or whatever she was gonna do. But I will say, like, I think, as she sort of engaged more with the fandom, especially on Twitter, her character sort of lost its, you know, like, I think she sort of, like, lost track of, like, what her character was doing, and so she tried to, you know, oblige the fandom, in what they wanted, but doing that doesn't necessarily make a strong character.
Yeah.
And I think that she then got sort of burnt out over it, which is completely understandable, because you're never going to satisfy the fandom.
Yeah.
And now she's sort of gone, I don't care, I'm going pure, I'll do whatever the fuck I want, and, like, I don't know if she's bitter over it or not, it kind of feels that way to me, but that's, you know, I'm not gonna just assume that, but, like, her character's sort of lost track of what her character is, like, about, and that, maybe she does have, like, a good, like, an idea for her character, but it feels to me like she doesn't necessarily, like, she had one, and then she tried to oblige the fandom a bit, and now it's sort of, like, lost its track.
You can say cater.
Yeah, it was catering to the fandom. Which, you know, like, I can get that. Like, I think that's one of the problems with the Dream SMP fandom, is that they put a lot of pressure on the CCs to, like,
put a lot of expectations.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations on the content creators to make this story perfect, or to make this story the way they want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's not really how the Dream SMP works, or, like, you know, the point of it, the purpose of the Dream SMP is for the content creators to have fun. Like, it's not like a New York Times published
story.
Book.
It's messy, it's
still good. But it's not like,
perfect.
Yeah.
No one's
it's
proofreading this.
Yeah, and it's meant for it's meant to obviously entertain the audiences, but it's not like they're trying to write, like, a global hit movie or anything.
Yeah.
And part of what made the Dream SMP so unique, and still does in a lot of ways, is the fact that a lot of what the lore comes from is, like, bits. It comes from the content creators being like, hey, you know what sounds funny or fun to do? Let's do this. Like, that's how Exile came about. Like, Exile was literally the fact that Tubbo was like, what if I just, like, exiled you from L'Manberg? And Tommy and Dream were like, yeah, that sounds really fun. Let's do it. And that sparked one of the most hotly debated, like, arcs in the entirety of the Dream SMP. So, like, and, like, the beginning, you know, L'Manberg stuff, yes, a good portion of that was, like, you know, semi-scripted, but a lot of it was also improv, or it was certain people of the Dream SMP sort of leading the charge and, like, writing the story, like Wilbur and Dream.
I'd say the beginning of L'Manberg, that was just improv. That was Wilbur starting shit and Dream responding to it. I would say that afterwards it got a lot more scripted in the story beats, especially with the big streams. But
yeah,
it was still like, other people were still trying to do their own thing and trying to, like, incorporate their own ideas into the greater story, right?
Yeah. I think the it's hard to say how much of the, I feel like this gets, like, as a topic that gets debated about a lot, is, like, how scripted is the Dream SMP?
It depends
and how
on the person who's writing
scripted
the
should
story.
it be to be good? Because I feel like that is something that a lot, like, the fandom says one thing and then demands the other at the same time. Like, you can't have it both ways. Because, like, I see a lot of people being like, well, I want the SMP to go back to having funny lore bits. Like, I want us to have fun and do, like, semi-lore or, like, random goofing and, like, the early SMP. But then you, at the same time, have people then go, well, if the SMP doesn't have, like, a cohesive, like, beginning, middle, and end, then, only certain CCs are actually good at making the, the story, like, cohesive or whatever, and it's like,
there was that one
First of all,
essay
you're
on
being
Twitter
incredibly
that somebody posted, and I was like, wow,
Did-
just checking I don't fit in,
so
like, wow.
On Tumblr, I heard secondhand that Ant was calling out a really bad
Yeah.
Twitter post. Was that the Twitter
It
post? Ant
probably
calling out?
was.
So-
Or it was at least was spawned from
let's-
that.
You know what? You know what? This episode on the Mellohi podcast, let's talk about fandom drama.
Why not? Fuck it.
So
Why
there
not?
was so there was a tweet made, there was a Tumblr post made that was basically an essay. It was pretty long, about these people saying that the only people on the Dream SMP who know how to write a good story were Tommy and Wilbur.
That's stupid. They don't know
Yeah,
jack
obviously.
Listen,
Well,
those
so-
500 private quote retweets really said it all. That's all, like...
Yeah, it gets bad. But so can I find it?
It was, listen...
I don't know if I can find it. But so basically, it was this person saying that the only members of the SMP that seem to actually know how to write a story with a cohesive beginning, middle, and end are Wilbur and Tommy. And that, I don't think I can find the original thing, but basically it was them complaining, saying that the rest of the SMP creators aren't good at writing stories. And that them just messing around and, like, doing these little things that don't make sense and don't have, like, any satisfactory ending is like, crap writing.
You're trying to tell me Wilbur fucking a fish and having a bridge for a mom is a cohesive story. This is stuff
God.
Wilbur came up with. This is stuff Wilbur wanted to add to his character. You're telling me.
Listen,
you are telling me.
it's just people who are upset because they're nostalgic for something that, like, doesn't even exist.
Never existed.
Like, which,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, it's one thing to really, like, get obsessed with and involved in fandom and to have a good time. It's another thing to bring fanon into, like, it's another thing to bring it to the level of where you're just outright harassing the people making the story. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're getting all the things you want. You're getting scripted lore. You're getting a beginning, a middle, and an end of little segments. You're getting fun stuff. Like, stop complaining at some point. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find
It's
it.
also, it came from a person who is in some circles of people who, not to get even deeper into the layers of drama, but it's in a circle of people who are on their high horses. I will admit, like, fully, like, they are, like, they are up on a high horse thinking that they know, like, that they know better, and it's just really annoying. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, fully.
But so, it's so bad. But so this person keeps going, right? And keeps ranting. But it comes down to a lot of them just being, like,
a bitch.
really terrible to a lot of the content creators on
Yeah,
this
it was just
and
nasty.
Basically just dismissing any of the hard
It
work
was
that they
just
put
not...
in. Yeah, it was nasty and it was just rude.
It's like,
and it was,
if
like,
you are that
really
unhappy, leave.
unfair.
Make your own content. Move on to the next fandom that you'll go and suck dry with your, like, with your weird obsession with, like, having a story go exactly how you want it. Like, go, move on. Holy shit, let go.
Like, I don't even get I don't get what their point was, because the Dream SMP isn't a fucking storybook. It's not a fucking
I think that's the
movie.
thing that they're
It's
forgetting.
literally improv roleplay.
Yeah, it's literally on a Minecraft
Well, okay, so that's
freaking
the
platform.
interesting thing. That's the interesting thing, right? Okay, so they post this on Tumblr. It gets surprisingly a lot of traction on Tumblr, but to be fair, Tumblr's a place that exists, and there's some interesting people. But
they think they're
someone
safe on Tumblr.
reposts it to yeah, that's the thing, right? They think they're safe on Tumblr. Someone reposted it on Twitter, which is just as a warning for anyone listening to this. Generally speaking, if someone posts a crap take on Tumblr, don't take it.
Yeah, it's
to
gonna
Twitter,
get worse.
because Twitter will annihilate them.
Yeah.
Twitter has no chill.
They
and
had
I'm not
no
gonna say
chill.
that Tumblr has chill, because Tumblr also doesn't really
But
have
we're
chill a lot of
contained
times.
chill. We're
But
contained
Twitter-
insanity.
Yeah, Twitter is much worse, and Twitter is much more public, and a lot of the SMP CCs aren't on Tumblr and are on Twitter. So if you post something to Twitter that was on Tumblr, just know everyone
I think
will
the
see
funny,
it.
yeah, like the funniest part is
And
you know they saw
it's
it.
not a
You know,
good
like
thing.
you know, like the content creators saw it.
Yeah,
like
so-
because they'll make jokes like in lore and crap about all these like takes that people have, and it's just funny. It's like they, like, what do you think you're doing besides like being a clown? Like you're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
You're just being an asshole. People think being
No,
a fan
nobody.
is
You know
all
what?
you
Somebody
being
said
an
it. Somebody said it.
asshole.
Somebody said nobody is more miserable than Dream SMP fans. Nobody. Nobody is more fucking like.
Yeah.
Nobody is just out here like lamenting harder about their own fandom than Dream SMP fans. Like for some reason they just hate Dream SMP and they stick around. Like why? Why are you a masochist? Like do you enjoy just the pain you're putting yourself through because Tommy in it isn't streaming on there anymore, and like you are just so blindly upset by like I don't get it. Nobody is more miserable than these goddamn fans, and it's like
Yeah.
they gotta unpack that. I don't know.
But okay, so but they post this, right, and it gets up on Twitter and it gets, more traction because of course it does, and people are calling them out pretty rightfully in the sense that like, clearly this person's being a jackass. And not to say that they're taking Minecraft roleplay too seriously, but they're kind of taking Minecraft roleplay too seriously.
People don't.
And
I don't get this. Like,
but-
Hermitcraft people don't get this shit.
Yeah,
Hermitcraft fans are just
Yeah.
Hermitcraft
Hermitcraft fans are
stories. If
enjoying
they can have
life.
wars
So-
and still be friends. And then
So I
Dream
don't
SMP
have-
is just garbage.
So the thing is, like, I don't have the original post that they made, right? But I do have the reply they then made when things
Got dicey?
when the post got blown up. Yeah, when things got dicey, basically defending their position, and their statement was that the CCs are getting, are making quite a lot of money making this, in their words, mediocre Minecraft roleplay, and that them stating this about the SMP was no more disrespectful than thinking that an actor in a TV show, in this case they used Misha Collins from Supernatural, which is funny because they didn't even spell his name right.
That's.
But
I mean.
and thinking that they did bad, and that how it's not any more disrespectful, but I don't think it necessarily
That
is
doesn't-
the same,
no, because,
right?
like-
I mean, it's
Because-
equally as disrespectful to
No.
like I mean, that's how
shit on one
critics
person is
are.
to shit on
Like
the other,
it's
yes.
you're going out of your way
Yeah.
to be you're going out of your way to be a critic.
An asshole.
Nobody likes critics. Nobody wants to go to a party with a critic. Like there's a reason that like, they're critics.
No.
So like if you like I'm not saying this person can't make their hot take and be a critic of the Dream SMP, but the real question is why? Like what are they getting out of it?
Yeah.
Cuz like critics, you're not
like,
getting paid to be a critic. You're just being a critic because you want other
You're an
people
asshole?
to validate you
Right.
for some reason. Like
And it's not like you can't criticize media, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can absolutely criticize the Dream SMP. I think there's flaws in some of the writing here and there, and I think like
There
the
are
pacing's
definitely-
been
yeah.
weird on occasions, or like characters.
there are
I
definitely
think
more
we
valid
started off
critiques
this
to make.
Earlier in this episode, we were criticizing Captain Puffy's
Yeah.
character. Like that is fair, but like you can criticize content that you consume. Like that's fine, but the way that they went about it was
It was
very,
like they were
very-
almost not expecting people to disagree or some shit, which was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Cause like people can disagree with like anything you say, but like, what were they expecting people to not be like, yo, this one's not it, like making it take that.
Well, they literally. That's the funny thing, right? is like into their defense, they're like, however, they are never going to see a random blog's critique of
Oh,
their
they saw
role-playing
it.
abilities. You saw it. You also don't know them. You're the one acting like you need to defend their honor and going out of your way to interact with someone you disagree with for an entertainer's sake. And then they go, mostly improvised and for fun, in quotation marks. Boy, I have something to tell you about how being a professional entertainer works. Okay, so you can criticize, works and stuff. But it's no one likes a critic, like you said. And, if you're going to criticize someone, you should at least be productive criticism, unless...
Or at least know that you're going to have... Yeah.
And it's also this mentality...
No, but instead of providing points on how they can improve a story, they just said you sucked.
They basically just
They
said
sucked,
Wilbur
and
is
then
the
they
only
pointed
one.
to
It's like,
specifically two people. Yeah,
okay.
they pointed to specifically two people and said that they...
Just say you're a
Wilbarian.
Wilbarian. Say you're an editor and a Wilbarian, and you fucking love them
Say
so
you're a
much.
Prime Boy
Yeah.
fan, and that you only watch 2 posts on the entire Dream SMP, and that you don't give a jack shit about anyone else who streams there and puts their work in, their effort, their blood, sweat, and tears to make the content everyone else loves and enjoys that you can't seem to appreciate.
Right. And, so, again, you can absolutely criticize, a piece of work, right? Like, you can criticize and be like, well, I think Lord of the Rings is boring, and I think Harry Potter's boring, or you can be like, I think Avatar The Last Airbender is the greatest show on Earth. Just like how, someone can think, I made a tweet the other day that, got a few people angry, because I said that I thought that character Wilbur was objectively...
Oh my god, I saw that.
Dream. From my own...
that's your own perspective.
That's based off my own personal opinions and moralities, right? People can have that, right? Just because, you can
have your own cultural, values and
enjoy
ideas,
and
that you interpret the world with.
Yeah.
It's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with me being like, yeah, I don't, like this thing. But if you're doing it in a way where all you're doing is shitting on someone else, right? It's fine for you to not like My Little Pony, right? It's not fine for you to then say that anyone who likes My Little Pony is a, 5-year-old, child, or a grown man who's living in his mother's basement and never gonna leave, and just being derogatory.
I think the weird,
I don't like certain shows, I don't like certain characters. And I'm not going to be an asshole to people who do like those characters. I'm not going to be an asshole to the people who made it. There are objectively, there are things made out there that is content that is not good. There is bad content. And, it's fine to criticize that content in a productive manner. It's less fine to then tell that person who was making it, for their own entertainment and for the entertainment of others, but mostly, and that's the thing that they didn't seem to understand in their posts, right? The Dream SMP creators, when they're creating these stories, are majority of the time when they're coming up with these plot ideas, it's what they would want to see in a story, right?
It's for themselves.
I'm sure that Dream, when he was writing the prison arc with the other content creators, is probably because he's obsessed with the show.
Oh,
Prison
100%.
Break, right? That's his favorite
100%.
TV show.
It was there were so many plot points.
He wasn't on the SMP. I was what would be awesome? A prison. Because I'm guessing as role players, they go through the exact same thing that I do when I come up with stories and stuff. Yes, they're writing for an audience, and yes, they are making money off of it, and that, but that doesn't mean, at the end of the day, they
have to do everything you want them to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's also, I've tried to get this point across to people before, but it always kind of fails, I feel where people can write for an audience, and they can write to make money, but it's still not... The reason the Dream SMP is different from a lot of other things is that they are not writing purely to entertain others or teach others a lesson. Yeah. I think we've covered this before with how, the Dream SMP does have themes here and there, but, overall, their goal when they're making Dream SMP content is to entertain people, not to make a cohesive, morality story that is being like, well, this, like, it's
those are
not...
what children like those are what other shows are for. Like they're like, especially children's shows tend to have where they're teaching you a moral lesson. The older you get, the less that occurs. And like this is definitely, I would say Dream SMP is like, a more mature show. For as much as like people will be like it's for kids, I'm like no, like it's definitely mature.
It's really not.
You know how many F-bombs they drop in there?
No, it's definitely more mature. Also, all the sex jokes and shit, and fucking...
Yeah. It's like,
We have canonical strippers. We have canonical sex.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like, I'm trying to think of, like, comparisons to use. Like, so, I wouldn't... If when I'm talking about the Dream SMP, I generally try and, like, I think of it in the same terms as I think of, like, things like Critical Role, and, like, Dungeons and Dragons recordings. Because it kind of is like going to the same thing where like yes it can and sometimes does explore like deep themes or serious topics like the Critical Role season that I love the best is season 2, and a lot of what they talk about is like the concept of monstrous races and like are people really like, can you just classify an entire race of people as monsters because you don't know them? No, you can't. They're people too, and they are different, but like it's sort of like that what is truly a monster kind of thing. And I think Matthew Mercer, who's the DM for them, even said that like part of the reason that Critical Role works so well is that at the beginning of the season the DM is like, well, what kind of theme do I want to explore? And like in the first season it was like true like heroism versus villain, and then in season 2 it was a lot more of exploring that like moral grayness and stuff, and which is why you have characters in it who like killed their parents when they were children because they were brainwashed, or like suffered from propaganda into killing them, or you know, people who signed a deal with an eldritch deity and then maybe started a storm through magic witch powers. Like no one in that party was a good person, except maybe Caduceus, but that's not important. I'm not gonna
they get into Critical Role lore.
But like, yeah, I could go forever, especially on season 2. But so like, the reason I compare it is because D&D, or Critical Role, I guess specifically, because it depends on your campaign, obviously. But the reason that, like, Critical Role is entertaining to people is because it's improv, but it's not completely unguided improv, right? Like, at the beginning of the season, and I'm sure throughout it, the Dungeon Master and the players are communicating with one another. We're like, where do you want your character to be in 20 sessions? Or, like, what kind of story are you interested in telling? And, like, the specifics of it are improv, right? Like, Keyleth in season 1 jumping off a cliff and dying because she thought that wild shaping into a goldfish would somehow save her. That's improv, right? But the sort of general overall gist of it is still has some themes here and there, but it's still mostly for the characters' fun, and it's for the players' fun and what they think would be interesting to do. The Dream SMP is exactly the same way. It's mostly about what the players think would be interesting, and not just for themselves. There are some stakes of like entertaining the audience and stuff like that, and you know, you gotta like kind of balance that, but it's mostly based off their own personal interest and what they think would be fun to tell, and what other people that they are, you know, collaborating with would be fun to tell. But like there's still improv to it, like the individual moments, the dialogue is all improv. Certain things happen just as bits, like Sam Bucket.
That was a bit,
like, you can't tell me that didn't start as a bit that was like, you know what would be fun? This. Like, so you can criticize Critical Role, you can criticize the Dream SMP, but it's never going to be in the same way. Like, you can't...
It's not like they sat down to write...
the Dream SMP on the
because
writing.
It's not like
but not in the way that they did it.
They ended up like it was I realized while listening to like all of it, like I realized what made that critique so weird was that they just pitted these friends against each other, right? Like that's the weirdest part. The weirdest part is they sat down and thought it was a hot good take to sit there and pit together people who genuinely seem to enjoy each other's writing. which I was like, that
No, literally, Wilbur
that's
is like
messed
prison
up.
arc best thing I've ever seen.
Like, that's what makes it a bad critique,
Yeah.
is that they just sat down and thought that was something that people needed to see and, like, talk about, was that Wilbur is, like, clearly the superior writer, and so is Tommy. But, like, in reality, you're just pitting together people who legitimately are friends with each other, who enjoy writing with each other and enjoy each other's writing. Like, you are an outlier who is, I'm gonna say it, insignificant to them. Why are you making such a strange take that, like, now they're gonna see and they're gonna laugh at it? I would laugh at that. I would see that take and I would laugh because I'd be like, what the fuck is going through somebody's head to make them think that is something I'm gonna waste 2 hours writing? Crazy. Literally, like, bonkers. Like, listen, like, I don't know. That I just realized, like, that's what makes that all so weird, is that they just sat down and pitted together, like, these people for no fucking reason, and people just keep doing it, and I'm like, y'all need to stop. It's too much. Oh my god.
And that's the other thing, though, right? Because they not only did that, but then they said, is like, they're never gonna see it, so it doesn't matter.
Then why
then
post
one
it
of
in
them
the first
saw
One
it.
of them saw it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aunt Frost saw
Yeah.
it. We know
Aunt
Aunt Frost
oh my god.
saw it.
Rest in peace.
No,
He had to see
actually,
that.
like, if you're under the opinion that no one's ever gonna see it in the first place, why would you even risk putting it? Okay, everybody here listening right now, I just want you to know anything and everything you ever put online.
We'll
will
come
be there
back. Yeah, it
forever.
will. It's there. Like, it's
It doesn't matter if you're anonymous. It doesn't matter if your username is different. It doesn't matter if you get an entirely new account. What you said, what you posted, will be forever immortalized onto the internet, because that's just how the internet works. You can delete your post,
Internet
you
safety.
can delete your entire account, but someone out there, they'll have saved it.
Yeah.
They'll have saved it and they'll be passing it around again. You know, my immortals, that really weird ass.
listen.
Harry Potter
I read My Immortal,
fanfic,
okay?
that's been immortalized. That is.
They turned it into a web series too. Honestly, the web series is like pretty good. Like, I don't listen, guys. I don't know. The web series is actually kind of good. Like, I really enjoyed watching it. Not to bring up My Immortal and like talk about it, but
But yeah, no, like, whatever you say, it's going to be immortalized. And if you ever have that little thought in your head that maybe you shouldn't say this, or that maybe you shouldn't say this, especially if you're scared of what the content creators are going to react to when they see it, don't put it online like that. You can talk about it with your friends, you can be jackasses together. Who cares? But the moment you put it in a public space, that thing is out there forever, and you can't take it back.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess the moral of our little ranting, session about fandom discourse.
just think before you post.
You guys are free. Yeah, think before you post. You guys are free to, discuss and criticize the Dream SMP. I know that's like half of what Mellohi does. It's all of what Mellohi does. All we do is like discuss the Dream SMP, criticize characters, and criticize some of the writing here on occasion. But like, you guys can do that. But I trust that most of the people listening to us are smart enough to, not be
Assholes on the internet?
assholes on the internet. And just if you're gonna post a criticism,
Just be prepared for it to actually
Make
blow
sure-
up. Like, even if it's like a slim
Yeah.
chance, just be prepared. Like, because it might happen. So.
Post with the expectation that people are going to see it.
And then it kind of makes you change
And
your
then it's
mind
going
a
to
little
spread.
bit on some things. You're like, ooh, maybe that one's not good.
yeah. Like, I know there's definitely been tweets that I've made, and
Oh my God,
I've
I've-
gone back and, like, seen them again, and I'm like,
Regrets.
that was
This
questionable.
one tweet I did, like,
Don't
got
post something
2,000
you're gonna
likes.
regret.
I deleted that thing, like, the next day. I couldn't handle it. I was like, that is fucked up. Like, that people just slammed like and retweet on something that was so incendiary. I was like, no.
Yeah.
That was
Every once in a while, your inner demons are just like, do it.
the
Do it. Make everyone mad.
the mental
Start
illness
fights.
grips you
It's
tight,
like,
and
oh
it's
God.
like, post that, and you're like, no. Oh man.
CPK's inner demon be
But
like,
what if you
go to the
did?
egg room, go to the egg room, go to the egg room.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess we can't really be, like, you know, morally, you know,
I mean,
superior to anyone else, considering we started, like, half of this episode off
Yeah.
just talking about how Captain
Bottom-
Puffy's
yeah.
character doesn't make any sense anymore. But yeah, like, it's not like we're mad at Captain Puffy or, like, dissing her, right? Like, that's the difference. It's like, don't diss the content creators of the, like, the creators of the things you enjoy. Or, like, even
if you're
like,
going
they're
to-
the content
yeah.
creators involved in a different part, like, don't pit them against each other. Don't spend your time saying, like, well, these two people are completely better at, like, writing than all of these other people, and they
Yeah.
suck. Like, you can have a favorite, right? Like, I really like BBH's writing. I
I've
really like
fallen in
Dream's
love with
writing.
CPK's
I don't
writing.
necessarily like Wilbur's writing. But it's not like I don't like Wilbur. It's just a personal preference. And as long as you can realize when it's a personal preference and you're vocal about the fact that it's like, hey, this is just my opinion. And not stating your opinions as objective facts that, you know, shit on all of the creators from something that you enjoy, except, like, the two that happen to be your favorite,
Yeah.
then, you know, that's okay, guys. Just be mindful of what you're, you know, how you're criticizing people and what you're posting. Because,
Yeah.
negative criticism never does anybody any good.
Yeah. I mean, on the topic of how much improv and how much script is in the writing, it depends on who's involved. With Wilbur,
That's true.
I've noticed that it is much, much more strict with how the events are supposed to go and how some scenes are set up, which works for, like, people who enjoy cohesive movie stories with middle, beginning, and end.
They would hate
Sorry.
the movie Memento.
Sorry.
They would hate that movie. They would hate non-linear shit. Oh man.
Yeah. But it works for, like, people who prefer something more linear and solid and less ambiguous as to whether or not is this lore or are they just having fun, which everything is lore, guys. I thought we learned this lesson already. But
yeah.
versus the lore stuff from, like, Dream and Tommy, where they have, okay, so we're gonna meet up at the mountain and somehow get to the bunker, and that was that. That was all they planned out.
See, I'm
Versus
kind of actually...
people like CPK and BBH who are just walking around and just like, yeah, so, I'm gonna pull you into lore in the first day you're here, and you're gonna have no idea it's gonna be lore.
Okay, I would love to keep talking about this topic, but we are getting towards the end of the episode.
That's true.
So we should probably end this one off soon.
Oh, question of the week from last week. Did we get any answers?
Let me check.
Nope.
No, not on the Discord.
Crying.
But to be fair, it was kind of a specific.
It was a little
kind of
too
question.
specific.
I have an idea for this week's. Yeah. Just, you know, just to cover bases, last week's questions, because we did two, were what do we think that AIMSy would be willing to trade for Rambu's revival, and how do we think that CPK, knowing other versions of the characters, will affect his view of them. And as far as the first one, I genuinely don't know what AIMSy would be willing to trade for Rambu, because I think they're friends.
They're best
I don't know
friends.
if they're cool. I
AIMSy's
don't know
best
if they're
friend's a
quite
ghost.
to that, you know, realm of, like, I will sacrifice so many things for you. I don't know if they're there or not.
AIMSy was willing to fight the person who killed them for Rambu.
True.
That's true.
And AIMSy doesn't like fighting people. Actually, they said they wanted to have a conversation, but it was gonna... conversations are just
Yeah.
fights, but with words.
Yeah.
And I think CPK's actually already kind of answered this in that, when he was cleaning up Tommy's base from the obsidian, mostly because he wanted the obsidian, but also he claims because he wants to make friends, and I think his answer for, like, he's heard from Bad that, you shouldn't get involved with Tommy, because Tommy's just gonna steal your stuff and destroy your things.
I mean, he's not completely wrong.
Pad's not wrong, exactly, but CPK's opinion of that was, well, I don't know. I've never actually met him, so I shouldn't be going into this with preconceptions of what they're like.
That is a very good policy. What is with the new members of the SMP and almost being reasonable people?
Because they haven't been on the Dream SMP long enough to be unreasonable.
True. Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, actually, I think CPK and Punk ended up in Nakama Chill's base, and I think they put a prank for him with the respawn beacon.
That will only end well. Okay, well, we're running out of time, so I'm gonna say I think I have a question of the week idea.
Hey.
Which is, who, since we've been talking about, writers and preferences, who are you, the audience's, favorite writers? Who on the Dream SMP is your favorite writer? And why?
That's literally my question.
Favorite characters.
Word
Yeah,
for
no.
word.
Who on the Dream SMP is your favorite writer? And why? And that can kind of go for either plot arcs, which I think is pretty limited in terms of who all does it, because obviously we don't know everything, or it can be in terms of character arcs. So, yeah, tell us who your favorites are. Just keep in mind, it's all personal preference, guys.
No one's better than the other. It's just what everyone else prefers watching.
Exactly. But I guess that's gonna be it because we're running out of time. So, bye!
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for Fandom Discourse. We'll try not to do it too often. Bye!
Well, thanks for listening to the 46th episode of Mellohi, and we hope you enjoyed it. If there's any topic you'd like to hear us discuss, feel free to leave a comment or find us on Twitter at Mellohi Podcast, where you can also ask us questions or just get updates about new episodes. We also have a Discord server that you can find a link to in the description. See you next time!